It reminds me of my old NC750X that had rock hard suspension. That was it. I knew there was something. Right, hello everybody. Yes, it's Two Wheel Rider here, back on it. And I've got a dry day, a dry sunny day, I don't believe it. So, where are we today? Well, as I said, you might have caught it in an early video when I was doing the GB350. I'm on the Enfield Bear. So, this is a bike that's really interesting to me because this is a bike that I may very well change my regular Interceptor for and go down this route, because one thing I really love the styling of it in the pictures, and spoiler alert, that's not much different when I saw it in the flesh this morning. It really is gorgeous. So, but I will say I am out of area, so I have no idea where I am, and I'm just going to be riding around like some sort of loony today, going all over the place. But I'll give you my first impressions before we have a look around the bike. My immediate impression is, yes, it's tall. You know, you certainly know you're on. It doesn't feel like the Interceptor, and I think that's the key thing for me. It doesn't feel like the Interceptor. It doesn't feel like a. Well, I want to say. I mean, people could say a jacked up Interceptor, but it's not that. It's way more than that. It feels very different indeed. And there are actually, interestingly, some subtle differences on this bike, which I don't have on my Interceptor, because which I hadn't realised. You have the things like the metal control switches and stuff like that, which are different to mine. So that's really nice. So yeah, it is a different bike. It is taller. Obviously, we've got the screen there, which I'm sort of used to, or certainly seen it before on things like the Himalayan and the Gorilla that I tried out. The seat is a little bit harder, I would say, than the Interceptor, and I think partly that is to do with the height as well. I think if you put a really padded seat on it, it'd be a really tall bike. The bars obviously are a bit wider as well. We're sort of going for that. Actually, to be honest, I thought the bars would be a little bit wider than this. So that is going very much for that sort of 60s America look, isn't it? That you know, when we did the I'll just do my hat there. When I looked at the Triumph Hurricane and the bikes I've looked at in days recently, you know, they've very much got that vibe, haven't they? With the wide bars that Americans like, and this is a bit like that. The other immediate thing is, which we'll talk about in a bit when we have a walk around the bike, is the reach. I am reaching forward a bit on this bike, which has surprised me, because I thought the bars would be being wide a little bit further back, or feels like a little bit further back, that I wouldn't be there, but I am reaching forward for this bike, so I'm a bit lent in to it. Anyway, enough of my blithering. Let's go and have a walk around the bike and see what I think about the actual looks of it. Now I've seen it in the flesh. Come on, let's go and have a look. Right, let's have a look at some of those appreciable little differences then. Different wheels. These are bigger wheels than the Interceptor, certainly than on mine. Obviously, we've got the more aggressive tread pattern on these, we should expect. Things like the light, the binnacle we know about, you know, the LCD. I like that. I have no issue with that that screen. I think it's pretty good. And you can obviously Apple Play your smartphone to that and get your navigation out, which is great. I love what they're doing with the paint. I think Enfield knock it out of the park with their paint schemes. Not because of the quality, which I still think is good, but how they think about the paint and what's going to look good. I think without doubt this has been a sort of copy, a copy of the Triumph, maybe a little bit, or maybe I'll just be dreaming that. But I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's really good. And if I'm going to buy one, this is the one I'm going to get. I like the blacked out, the difference in the blacked out, these panels and stuff. I like that. That's really good. The exhaust is cool. You've got the 2-into-1 exhaust, which does sound pretty good. Let's start her up and just hear the sound. Obviously appreciably different to the Interceptor, but it's just a nice sound. I think the Interceptor sounds nicer on the bike. This sounds pretty good off it, but it's odd, isn't it? Because you get the different acoustic effects when you're on the bike compared to when being off it. I like the reverse fork. I like the fact that they're gold. That's another really nice touch. Suspension is a little bit hard, but it's not the end of the world. This is interesting that they've got the regulator there. Obviously the mudguard's not doing a great deal because we've got that issue again with the hitting the oil filter, which I've got on my Interceptor, and eventually that will punch through. Eventually you get a big stone in there, might do that. So there's something, an engine guard's worthwhile, and I know they get these for these bikes. Nice styling on the saddle. You've got this sort of matte leather effect on there, which is really nice, you know, and the Enfield on there. It's these little touches that Enfield do really well, really well. This is the thing that I was saying about, well, I'll talk again on the ride about the gear stick. You got that real dog leg in the gear stick, and when I first got a bike, my foot was here, and I thought, oh, that's close. I didn't realise it was out there. But you get used to it, and after riding it for a while, it's not become noticeable at all, so that's all right. And it's a very positive gear stick as well. The other thing that was really important to me was, would it fit the Hepco Becker bags, the C-bow, and it does. You have those two bolts there, which is the same on the Interceptor. I don't know whether the spacing's the same. We are going to measure those when I take the bike back, because that's quite a key factor for me, because I want to keep those Hepco Becker C-bow panniers because they're fantastic. I really like those, and I would put them onto this. Hopefully the exhaust won't interfere, but I think we'll be all right, because it's also, they're going to sit at a slight angle, because this tail piece obviously comes up in that classic scrambler trail bike style. It pips up, so yeah, I think it'll be enough to do that. But with the C-bows, you can then get a different bag if you wanted to put on there. I like all this. That's all right. I've got no problem with that. Do you know, the finish is just bloody good. It's just swearing a bit there. I don't swear on my channel. It is bloody good. But yeah, I like the black. I think that's just going to be a bit more hard wearing, really. It's quite a sexy bike, isn't it? Can you have a sexy bike? Yeah, I think you can. I would have been interested to know if you could have had the exhaust swept up here. I think that would have been a really nice difference on this bike. But the problem with doing those swept up is that you get all that heat, and the heat becomes a bit of a problem, doesn't it, around here, around your legs. I suppose they've had to, keep it within bounds and not do too much redesign, because it gets really, really expensive. What do you think, guys? Do you like it? I must say, I love it. I think it's such a lovely bike just to look at. Sort of bike you put in your front room, innit? Do you think I'd get away with that? No. Right, let's get out on the ride, and we'll talk about what it handles like, and the brakes and bits and pieces like that. So what's the riding experience like then? Well, the suspension does feel a little bit more rigid, that's for sure, and I've noticed that on other reviews of this bike. They thought the suspension was a little bit hard. I'm on some really lovely Surrey roads. Surrey's got all the money, so they get all their roads quite nice. But I can imagine this is a little bit firm. Yeah, I mean, there's odd little bumps in the road, I can feel it. I'm trying to think what that reminds me of. Certainly not the Interceptor. The Interceptor is a much softer ride than this. What did that just remind me of? Funny that you get those little things like, what was that? What was that telling me about? Do you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of my old NC750X that had rock hard suspension. That was it. I knew there was something. Yeah, that NC750, that's what that reminds me of. That's odd, isn't it? Had like a flashback. That had atrocious suspension on it, my first NC. I'm not saying this is atrocious, but it gave me that immediate effect because you can feel it through the handlebars. Slight juddering, and that's going to be quite key to me because a bike like this may be a bike that I will possibly do some touring on if I do get it. My idea would be to tour on this bike a little bit, put the Hepco Becker panniers on, and I have checked those, which as I just showed you in the walk round, that they will fit. They may need some adjustment, and we're going to do a little bit of measuring when I take this back to the showroom. Big up to Crowthorne Enfield as well. I will put a link in there in the description, but yeah, great. They got a good selection of these bikes, which is well cool. Look at me and my young speak. It definitely feels like the sort of scramblers of the day, the very upright position of this, and that sort of layout also feels quite reminiscent of the slightly of the Triumph 400X Scrambler, and it's like that the manufacturers are sort of looking at all these popular bikes at the time and just putting little elements of each one to try and catch everybody, and it's quite funny really. It was a bit like that with the GV350, but you can sort of see that. But this feels like a grown-up. Do you know what it feels like? A grown-up 400X. That's what this feels like, which is no bad thing. Now, that handling wise, now they have changed the rake angle on this compared to the Interceptor, and I would say actually, do you know what, it turns quicker. I was expecting it to turn a little bit slower, but it actually turns quicker. I like a slow turning bike. My Triumph T214 has got a very, I suppose you call it, shallow rake angle, and bless you, and that's got quite a nice slow turn. But this is quite quick. It certainly feels quick anyway. I hope we're not going to get too lost. I'm glad I got my phone. I can link it up to the sat nav. I'm sorry about the flashing. There's not much you can do about that. Let's try a little bit of running around some of these little things. What's it like? What's it like slow riding? Yeah, I think that initial thing of, you know, I wondered how similar to the Intercept it was going to be, and it's not, but it's familiar. It feels quite familiar and comfortable in terms of there's no shocks. There's nothing I need to worry about too much with the you know, the controls. It all feels all right. I mean, the controls are a bit higher for me, so I'd angle them down a little bit, but it doesn't feel scary in a respect. Not that Enfields tend to be particularly scary. We're waiting for a school bus. The engine's very familiar. Obviously that's a classic 650 twin they got, but you can feel the difference in the gearing. It is higher geared, and that's how they're getting the different torque out of this bike compared to the Interceptor. The torque is slightly higher, but that's because the gearing is lower. Higher, lower. I can never remember which is higher and lower. And so the engine revs higher for the speed that you're going. It makes sense. One thing I did notice, and I said this on the walk round, was the gear stick is quite interesting because it's got that elbow on it. And that, when I first got on it, I thought, Jesus, where's the gear stick's short? And it was actually my foot was hitting the elbow. So that's something to watch for on this bike. But once you realise where it is, it's not a problem. The brake levers are okay. Nice, you've got adjustable levers on here, which is commensurate with the new Intercepts. I didn't realise that. that they'd changed those components on the newer Interceptors. But you've got adjustable levers on here, which in that price bracket is pretty damn good, I think. I can already sort of sense that when we get into summer, that if I had this bike, I'd actually I'd be sort of lapping it up a little bit. Is that bad, isn't it? It's going to be bad for my wallet. I can sense it. Oh dear. I mean, it's a bike I so wanted to get onto, you know, and it to be honest, it's not really disappointed at all. And I'm really glad they gave me this colourway, because this is the colour that I actually really fancy. I know a lot of people have gone for the green and the white. They call it a specific thing. I can't remember what they call that. But this black and silver, I know it says a bit cheeky, but it reminds me of the Triumph Scrambler. And to me, again, that's not nothing that bothers me at all. I like the fact that it looks like that, and it's got that sort of feeling to it. Let's drop it down a clog. Yeah, you know, I think this is pretty cool as a bike. Do you know what? I think actually also, when I rode that 1200 Scrambler XE, the Triumph, a little while ago, you know, it's got that feel about it. The one thing I would say about this bike, though, obviously, is the weight. It's much lighter than that, and I think people want bikes in that sort of category. They don't want the big 1200s now, and maybe even the 900s, because the 900 is, you know, it's a bit of a beast. There is a thing about having heavy bikes, and it gives you the sense of sort of quality, that you're getting a lot for your money. And when bikes are lightweight, that maybe you're not getting that. But I don't think that's really the case with Enfield. I think you do get good value for money regardless with Enfield. So let's check the height out. Oh. So I am flat-footed, and I'm 5'10" and a quarter or something. But yeah, and the bike is quite wide. It feels wide, so you lose a little bit of that reach with that. And what I said about you're leaning a little bit forward, I don't feel quite so much that now. No, I've ridden it and got off it, so it doesn't feel quite so much like that. In terms of leg bend, I think I've got more leg bend than I have on the Interceptor. Feels like it. I have to get back on the Interceptor to really be sure, but it feels like I've got a bit more leg bend in there. But the reach and the bars, I like the fact that you've got the adjustable levers and stuff like that. It's really nice. The mirrors are okay. I would say they're okay. I can live with those. So what do I really think about the bike then? Now that I've ridden it, I know my outro is a little bit gushing, and I'm more decided than I am on any other bike that I've sat on. Of this style of bike, of all the scramblers that I've ridden, and there's only been what 2 or 3. This is the nicest. I think when you combine the price, the quality, the feel, the engine, all the rest of it, I think this is really cool. I'd like to do a lot more extended riding on it, just to get an idea of how comfortable the seat's going to be, because I think that might be a little bit of an issue, the seat. If I was going to do some long riding, and that angle there, I don't know if any of you guys get this, but you sometimes, certain bikes you ride, I get this on my Bonneville, that you end up getting cramp in your thigh, and it's to do with the seat and the angle of the legs. I don't know why, it always feels really comfortable, and then you suddenly get cramp, and then it stays with you. It's really nice. And I know, as a video I did with my mate Mike, we both got Bonnevilles. We both said the same thing. We suffer from cramp. And that's just the way the bike is. It's peculiar, isn't it? And you don't want to end up buying a bike that you realise you can't do a long journey on it, because you're suffering with that, and then you don't want to do a long journey next time. You think, no, I don't want to take this bike. I love this bike, but I don't want to take it, because this is a bike that will probably come down to France with me again. So yeah, I don't get that on the Interceptor. I don't get the cramping on my leg on the Interceptor. So there's something I'll have to look a bit deeper into. But actually riding this today, it feels familiar, but it's not because it's the Interceptor. It just feels comfortable, and like I've not just suddenly come to this bike. It's something as if I've ridden it for a long time. It's all those combination of all those bikes I've got that I like, and there's a little bit of all of them in here somewhere. But yeah, I really like this bike. Really like it. It's not a disappointment. Never meet your heroes. Well, I've met one, and this is good. This is good. Would I buy one? Will I buy one? I sort of think yes. I think this is the one, but when I've now got on it, I thought I want to pull the trigger on it. But it will depend really on what I can get for the Interceptor. Now that I know that the Hepco Becker panniers will fit on this, the Sebos will fit, possibly with a little bit of adjustment to the bracket, but not a lot. And there will be a slight angle difference, as I showed you on the walk around. You know, I like it enough that I think it'd be a nice new bike for me to go for, and a change from the Interceptor. I've loved the Interceptor, and I never really want to be too far away from an Enfield really. But I think this is the one bike that the bike I always promised myself. I'm such a sad idiot. But yeah, do I think it's worth the money? Yeah, without doubt. I think for under sub £7,000, I think it's a phenomenal value for money. Ooh, do I open the box? Do I open the box? I think I will. I'm going to speak to them at Crowthorne, see what the possible trading price of my Interceptor is. I think my Interceptor has a reasonable value, so that's what I'm going to look at, and we see where we go from there. So watch this space. I'm going to get my Africa trip done first, and then I'll do something after that. But yeah, I think the bear has won me over. It's given me a little bear hug, hasn't it? And I think I want it. Right, take care everybody, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ride safe.